All right, we'll start. Yeah. All right, we'll start. He's on his way. All right. Little levity there, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, Calexico Financing Authority special meeting, March 6, 2014, 6:30 p.m. And I do want to thank my fellow councilmen for moving the meeting from Tuesday since I was not able to attend to Thursday. Thank you very much. Okay, call to order and attendance. Here comes Mr. City Manager. Okay, we're all here except for Councilman Kim, but I'm sure he'll be on his way. I have not heard otherwise. All right, then let's move forward and let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Financer Director, Mr. Quinn, would you like to start us off?
Please place your hand on your heart. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Mayor Pro Tem. Second?
Second.
Second by
Excuse me, Mayor.
Councilwoman.
We'd like to pull item number 9.
You'd like to pull number 9.
As I understand it, somebody has stepped up and is going to be paying for that.
Repeat that, I didn't hear that. Step.
Somebody has stepped up and decided to pay for that.
Okay. Oh,
Mr. Mayor, I amend my motion to include the deletion of item number 9 and the approval of the agenda.
okay. Is there I have no idea, a strong wind here in the chambers. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second, once again. These two beside me are always reliable. Councilwoman Hurtado, thank you very much. Okay, so be it. Please vote on the agenda, approval of the agenda, with item number 9 being taken out. Okay, it passes unanimously. Welcome, Councilman Kim. Very good to see you here, sir. Okay. Approval. All right, we have at this time, it indicates we have a presentation by the Pioneers Memorial Hospital CEO, Mr. Larry Lewis, and the Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District. And this is regarding the 24-hour urgent care center and hours of operation. Welcome.
Good evening. Rosie Fernandez, President for Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District, and I'm here today to present Mr. Larry Lewis, CEO for Pioneer Memorial Healthcare District. As you all know, Calexico, or the Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District, was subsidizing in order to keep the 24-hour.
You can just, keep your distance.
Not too close, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. In order to keep operations for 24 hours, and there's going to be changes in the hours, and Mr. Larry Lewis is here to explain.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
Welcome, Mr. Lewis.
Either over there. There's a mic.
All right, good evening. Wasn't me. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. We have been working with
When you change the mics, lower the volume. Okay. But we've already changed them.
Sorry, Mr. Lewis.
okay.
I think we have ghost here or something.
Probably. Any case, we've been working for the past 3 years with the Heffernan Board, and as was just mentioned, we've had a great relationship. We've worked for this 3 years to try to build volumes out there, and actually we've grown volumes out there pretty significantly. I think Art told me that even in the last year, it's grown about 16%. And we've averaged just under about 2,000 visits per year. But we have been monitoring the volumes in the wee hours of the morning, past 11 o'clock and before the sun rises, and there just are not that many people that use that service. And I think that's pretty typical in most types of clinic situations. it's a good service to have, but we agreed with Heffernan that it's probably not the best use of funding for healthcare here. So we have made a decision, along with Heffernan, to step away from the overnight hours, but we are still very committed to the community of Calexico. We are planning to expand our services here still with more providers, more imaging services, more therapy services, et cetera. And we don't want to walk away from Calexico. We want to grow further in Calexico. And we are working with Heffernan still in the future, as well as some other community leaders to try to develop those ideas. Art Mejia, who's here this evening, has been working on the plans for that development. And we look forward to that relationship in the future, that we can work together to have more and more healthcare services here. So we pretty much wanted to thank you for that and to let you know that we will be communicating that in other messages to the community so that nobody's surprised or looking for that service when it's not going to be there. So, Art, what hours are we?
March 31 will be the
official transition date. Yeah.
I have a question?
Yeah, let me just state, and City Attorney, correct me, or we are not to get any long engagements, but we can ask a question. Is that okay?
Council members can ask questions, absolutely.
Okay, questions, but remember, council member, we don't want to get into any long engagement. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
So the 24-hour will stop March 31st?
Correct.
So beginning April, it will close at midnight?
Yes,
And it will open at?
8 a.m. And on the weekends, we'll be back to our original hours of noon to midnight.
Okay, so have you seen a need for this on weekends or the first of the month, or during the holidays, has there been, I mean, it fluctuates, I'm sure, but, I mean, would that?
I think that Saturday, during the day hours, it's usually pretty busy. But I think when it gets to late Saturday or early Sunday, it's still pretty slow, but we still have intentions of being there, which days? On Saturday and Sunday?
We'll be there 7 days a week, but one of the things that we're evaluating is on the weekends, instead of starting at 12, starting closer to 10 a.m., because there is a need for early morning appointments, if you will. That's probably one of the only real changes that we'll make as far as this transition is concerned.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have a question for Mr.
Yes,
Lewis?
I have.
All right, Councilman
Would
Council.
you give us a little more clear the hours? Because I'm understanding only the weekend's going to be the midnight, the terms are finished. But right now, this gentleman's mentioning 10 o'clock, so
8 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday,
Yeah,
8 to
Midnight.
midnight. And the weekends?
that one's which?
Weekends, we'll finalize that here in the next week, but it'll either be noon to midnight or 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It'll be a 12-hour block that will be available.
Okay.
Is there any chance I can open a little earlier on the weekdays? Because some people, during the night, they have fevers. In case of 8 o'clock, kind of too late, maybe 6 o'clock.
And that's actually something that we've evaluated because we've been open 24. We've kind of looked for that pocket where people actually walk in.
Yes.
And honestly, on the weekends, generally by 10 o'clock is when we start to see the flow of people coming in. And that's why we're evaluating that as probably start time, but that's something that we consistently evaluate for need and make sure that we're meeting the communities.
It will be adjusted as people show up at different hours and we see that trend start to occur. We'll make adjustments for sure.
And for example, like kids during the nighttime, they have fevers. Before they go to school, they might can go to check up before they go to school. So 8 o'clock kind of too late, maybe it can be a little earlier. Some people who was in all the nighttime or the fever, they've been tortured, and they have to wait at 8 o'clock.
I think that's the importance of the data, though, because it's been open 24/7 and it just wasn't utilized that much before 8 o'clock during the week. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Council?
I guess probably because it's important to note that the Pioneers is using what is known as the old Calexico Hospital building, right?
Yes.
And so that you call it a clinic, but in Calexicans we know it as the hospital.
You bet.
So in general then, and maybe even a question for the healthcare district, is because then the city of Calexico seems to be then exposed to no clinical or emergency service such as that during that period of time, I think it's important, I guess, city manager or whoever would like to respond, what citizens should do in those hours, because we have had those concerns in the past where our citizens would need to drive themselves to El Centro. And so I think that's really important to clarify to the public that we do then have no service whatsoever as far as that, and that they would have to, if they needed, dial 911 or drive themselves to El Centro.
And we'll put out the announcements in the newspaper. And I know that there was a suggestion when we were at the Heffernan Board to consider asking the city if we could put a communications in the utility bills, the water bills.
Right.
Councilman Castro?
No, well, yes, you guys make this decision because there is no profit, or just because is struggling to work with the Heffernan Memorial District?
Heffernan's been a great partner. It's not that concerned at all. We did talk about whether or not it was a wise investment to continue to put money into those overnight hours, and I think we both can agree that it doesn't make that much sense. It's a lot of investment, and very, very few people use it in those late hours like that. Even in a typical emergency room, by the time midnight hits, it's winding down to next to nothing. And overnight, it's a trickle that would show up. And that's at an emergency room where people expect to have those services. So it doesn't surprise me. I think it was a great effort because there is limited services here available now. But I think that we looked at it, we marketed it, and it's not realistic to expect it would be heavily utilized in those off hours. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lewis. I do feel a little apprehensive about closing in those hours, but I trust your data that it's just very little amount of people coming, but I'm still concerned about, like Councilman Kim said, we need to let people know, like Councilman Kim and Councilwoman Hurtado indicated, where do those people go? Because we're still going to have some during those hours, and it doesn't matter if it's 20 or 1, they're all individually important. But thank you so much. Thank you for your partnership. And we really want you to continue to stay and grow in Calexico.
We are definitely committed to that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the presentation. Let's move forward on the announcements, public appearances. Once again, I will read this. Not to exceed 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. If the item you wish to comment on is a closed session or consent item, please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. So, in line here, first, I have 2 white slips, and we have first, it's always a pleasure to see him, Mr. Tomas Oliva.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Tomas Oliva. I'm the Regional Affairs Officer for the Southern California Association of Governments. I oversee Imperial County and Coachella Valleys for the Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'm here tonight to invite you all to our General Assembly and Regional Council on May 1st and May 2nd. It will take place at the Renaissance Esmeralda Resort and Spa in Indian Wells. Every year we have a theme to our General Assembly, and this year's theme is Partnering for Prosperity, Technology's Impact on Mobility and Opportunity. We will explore how rapidly emerging technologies may revolutionize the way we presently think about moving people, and goods. For example, some of the things that we've been working on is a rail system for the desert. Currently, I believe Amtrak goes all the way up to Palm Springs. We would like to see it continue on into the Inland Empire. Concepts such as goods movement, like a dedicated truck lane that is electrified, like an above-ground trolley system, so that we can have zero to low emission trucks that can travel in major corridors, things like that, emerging technologies and how we plan our cities, our communities, and how it affects our local economy. So I would very much like to encourage all of you to attend as much as your staff that you can allow to attend as well. And to the general public, it is free registration for elected officials. And for the general public, before April 1st, it is a registration fee of $150. Afterwards, it's $250. It's a two-day event, and we have notable speakers that attend this event. For example, certain congressional members do attend. Last year, one of our keynote speakers was the Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom. And so I just wanted to be here tonight to formally invite you all. I know that you took action to have a delegate. I believe that's you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know who your alternate is, but I do.
We decide.
I would like to recommend as much participation as possible for this. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Council members? It's a worthwhile event, and we did select a delegate, or an alternate, excuse me, and that's Honorable Mayor Pro Tem John Moreno.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliva. Okay, let's continue. Second in line, and it's, at this point in time, it's the last one that I have. Very good to see you. We've missed you, Diana Daniels. Please come forward. Be nice.
Hi there, I'm Diana Daniels. I live in Seabrook. The reason why I'm here today, I know I haven't come in a long time, but I've just been really busy with shelter and just my own life. But basically what I want to say is, I know there was an article in the Probe a few months ago regarding the roof in Calexico. Just to let you know that the two guys that worked there did an amazing job installing a brand new roof. It looks great. The reason why I'm also here is just to ask you guys, the community, for help. I know a lot of you guys, have stuff that you work on, maybe your house, or you guys do construction. What we need is, we're trying to get the west side of the actual shelter. It's got a bunch of reeds. So we want to take all those reeds out. We want to pour concrete, actually, and then put a new fence line so that we have a portion of the shelter that's just used for running. So I can just take the dogs out and I can run them, and that way it's going to be kind of a workout for them. Because right now, we literally have no room to run around in. So that's what we want. So if you guys have bags of cement, you guys have some chain link fence, you guys have some extra towels, blankets you guys are not using, you will take that at the shelter. I personally, myself, I'm donating, actually tomorrow, a washer and a dryer. Tomorrow, because we wash these blankets ourselves for a couple of years now by hand, and so now fortunately I'm able to do that. So I encourage you guys to do the same. If you guys can come out, volunteer. We're on Facebook. We have over 1,600 followers on Facebook, and we've done an amazing job actually trying to network and just reconnect people and just their lost dogs and cats, and it's been amazing. I had people call me and thank me up and down because of the work that we've been doing. So I think we're doing a great job, and if we can just get the cooperation of the city, I would really appreciate it. So any bags of cement, any blankets, any towels, even just a chain link fence you guys got, and actually your help, if you want to come help us clean up and do everything, we're there Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 12. If you want to volunteer, you can write me on Facebook. It's Calexico Animal Shelter, and just tell me I want a volunteer form, and I'll send it to you. And then you can bring it here to City Council or City Hall.
City Hall.
And it gets processed. So.
Diana, could you repeat what you said? You said cement, towels?
Cement,
blankets.
towels, blankets, and just chain link fence. Because the way that the shelter is now, it's like a big square basically. So imagine a big square, and the west side of that, literally maybe a few feet just to the east is where our kennels start. So from here to the kennels, we actually just want to put a chain link fence that way so that the dog can just run around. Right now, there's just no space, and there's so much stuff around that it's not that safe. So if we do that, and we want to do it now while it's so cool out, because we know when, May, June, July is going to be ridiculous. So if we can get it done March, April, we're good?
We're good.
Okay, thanks.
We thank you very much, Diana. You've been extremely instrumental in contributing into the improvement of the shelter. And so they'll go through you, but City Manager, what are the steps in connection to the city? They come, they fill out, what do they do?
We have volunteer forms out of Human Resources that they can get to fill
Human
out.
Resources, volunteer forms. I have students that have volunteered. Diana?
Am I allowed to ask one question, City Manager?
Sure you may.
Is there any possible way to make the process easier? Because I know some people have a hard time bringing stuff over, because I know you guys are closed Fridays, and with the hours of work, people are not able to come and drop off the application over to Human Resources. So they wanted to know if it's possible if they just show up and they just fill it out right there and then maybe have the two guys that work there actually bring them in. That way they have a copy of it, and then you guys have a copy of it here. It's just a really long process, and by the time they actually go through chain of command, it takes a whole week. And people are asking me, am I in file, am I in file? And I don't know until I get an email from one of you guys telling me.
Yeah, they could fill that out on site as long as we get it here to HR. Our personnel can bring it in.
So then if they fill it out at the actual shelter, and I have the workers bring it on a Monday or a Tuesday, it's okay?
And then we can, I think we notify them when they're clear.
Yeah, but the way it is now is that I
All right,
actually
Tomas.
tell to them, they print it out, and then they bring it here, and then when it gets processed, I get the email saying so-and-so is ready to go. It just takes so long that people get very discouraged. I'd rather have, let's say, 5 people show up right there and then,
Accept the applications?
yeah, just do it quick, then wait 2 weeks, the whole process to happen.
So as long as, obviously they need to be cleared, so we make sure that they're covered insurance-wise. But if they want to bring them there to the shelter and fill them out there and then just have our personnel bring them in, that's fine.
That's fine? Okay.
Oh, great.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
I believe this is a good point. You should bring it. I believe a lot of city form we should put on the website. People can print out from there.
Good idea.
We should, that way, all the forms they access from the website.
There is actually a waiver that I remember you put up a long time ago, and I think it's
sorry.
still there, actually. I just don't know if people are doing it, because people are contacting me directly, and I don't have a problem with that at all, because I respond quick to them. But I just know that they get frustrated when they're like, well,
Yeah, we know.
I can't make it to City Hall because I work late, and
Okay.
it just becomes a problem.
All right, thank you, Diana. I'm sorry, but we have a time limit here, but we can get together or reach out and work together. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Orlando Johnson. Orlando.
I just wanted to update the City Council on what's taking place with the 5H replacement housing. And I want to thank those that attended the meeting that HUD put on at the Maria Scare Building 2 days ago. Currently, the Housing Authority has a deadline of June 30th, 2014 to expend the $1.2 million for the purchase of 40 units. It looks like we have 2 possible properties that we can probably close by probably end of May. I mean, that's my plan, to close by end of May. With that, we will not lose the 1.2 million, and then we'll be able to house 40 available families. We're looking at, one of them is a seniors project, which will house just seniors. The other is already occupied. But the whole thing right now is spending the money. That's the bottom line, is spending the money. So it looks like it will happen. But I just wanted to update the City Council that we're doing our due diligence. A couple of City Council members attended the meeting. HUD was appreciative of that, and we do appreciate the support. The other item that I wanted to discuss was, and thank the City Council, all those that attended the homeless event that took place 2 weeks ago. Those that attended might want to comment on what they saw. I mean, it's an eye-opening experience. I mean, you know, there's people out there that really need help. Calexico has one of the highest number of homelessness in the county. There's a lot of money available out there. There's a lot of money that can be obtained, and I've spoken with Mr. Hodge, and I think I spoke with Oscar. There's some grants out there that we can get. If you have a grant writer, it's available. Even the collaboration, I spoke with Mr. Hodge and Oscar about collaborating the three agencies, the city, the Housing Authority, and Neighborhood House, on providing some homeless shelters. I'm looking into, and I talked with Mrs. Hurtado about the Customs House, U.S. Customs House. We're going to submit an application for the use of that building for a shelter. The basement could be a complete shelter. It's the complete size of the whole building. And then the two upper floors could be services for homeless and transitional housing. The model that I'm looking at with the three of us, as well as, and I talked to John Marino about using the school districts as well, adult education, is start out with the homeless shelter, take them up into transitional housing. From transitional housing, the adult ed can take over, give them some training and education to become self-sufficient. And then from there, we can put them in permanent housing. But that's a program that's effective and it's working in San Diego and other cities. But we have the makings of it, we just have to put it into effect, and we have the numbers to support it. But we need the grant writing support that the city has. So, but I want to thank you for attending the homeless event. And if you get a chance, any city council member, attend one of the homeless meetings. There's one the second Thursday of the month at Catholic Charities in El Centro. That's the Imperial County Homeless Task Force. And then there's one locally, which I believe is on a Wednesday. I'm not sure whether it's the first or second Wednesday of the month, but that's the local one. What's going to take place is all the cities of the county are going to have a homeless task force. All that information is going to be fed up to the county task force. The county task force information is going to be fed up to HUD, and that's how you're going to determine how you're going to get the funding.
Well, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm certainly going to comment on that visit when it comes our time. Okay, very good.
Mayor.
Yes.
Here.
Over there.
Yes, I have a question. City manager, who do you think can work with the HUD in order to work with the issue with the grant writer in order to get some kind of facility for the homeless? Who do you have in your mind, or who is available, or who's the person in charge of that? That's my concern.
This will be under the Housing Division, and as you know, we now have a grants manager, so that would be the appropriate person.
I'm sorry, who?
We have a grants manager now that works through the Housing Division, so we now have a person who handles grants. That would be the person.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good question, Councilman Castro, or concern. Okay, let's move forward. Next one, and at this point, the last for public comments is Mr. Jared Stodell. Please forgive me if I mispronounced your name. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jared Stodell, and I'm with Pro Record Storage, and we do the data storage for the city of Calexico, and we wanted to get the finance department into storage, but we had to get some contracts signed, and they just said to show up to the city council meeting where everybody's going to show up and have a contract to be signed.
Okay, so you need what again?
A contract to be signed to start taking your paper files for storage.
Okay, here's the man right here.
Yeah, I think there's a misunderstanding. That is scheduled for our next council meeting, which would be on the 18th.
Is that okay? I was told to show up to the one on the 6th. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's scheduled for the 18th.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, don't be. It's good that you came forward.
Okay.
It's good that we know.
I'll show up next time then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep us on our toes. Thank you. Okay, at this point, last chance. Anyone else? No? All right, let's. That concludes the public appearances and public comments. Now we go to general comments by council members and then city manager. May I begin with Councilwoman Hurtado? Any comments? Got you off guard there?
Just a little bit. Thank you. Just like to report that this past week, we had another successful meeting for the Redevelopment Agency Successor Agency. I want to thank those individuals that came to these meetings. We had new faces this past meeting, but the Redevelopment Agency was dissolved and is taking care of its winding down by what's called the Successor Agency with different individuals from our community and outside of Calexico. So it was good participation. We're keeping each other up to date as we're winding down the affairs of the Redevelopment Agency, and we are going to be adding into our agenda that we keep all members up to date as far as any future letters, correspondence, and contact from the state as we're closing business. And yes, we did have a very successful farmers market this past Sunday, which is always every Sunday, first Sunday of every month. But I believe the last one's going to be next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to
oh, there she is. Hi, Sandra. You didn't see you.
I don't see her.
That is. It's good to see all the community coming out for these kinds of things, and it's been staying small but yet friendly and very family-oriented. So it's been a good thing for the city of Calexico. So we're hopefully going to have that continue for next year.
Good.
And the one thing that I failed to mention last time that we were talking about parks and stuff is that I have this idea, because there is a lot of interest out there, and now that Diana left, too bad. But maybe one of these days, converting one of our parks, our less used parks, into a dog park, right? Right. So I got a packet of information from Sandra to take a look at, and dogs have really cute equipment too. So it was really neat, and it's not very expensive. So hopefully there's support out there for that type of idea, because that'd be really neat. Not only because I have a cute little puppy myself, right? But these family things are so important for Calexico, the quality of life for us. And I know that dog parks are a very popular thing nowadays. So Calexico would like to have one too. So that's about it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilman Hurtado. I'll go to my right, far right, Councilman Kim.
Okay. First of all, I'm glad the Congressman Juan Vargas to support us to get the budget on the new port of entry. That new port of entry is going to give us a lot of benefit for the Calexico, but since they didn't have budgeted, what happened? Private sector tried to use the city debt to make the money, and that's why I was quiet. But finally, we got the help from the Mr. Vargas to get the project going on. I wish they're going to be approve the budget. And the other one is, I'm talking again, fellow council members, we have to respect our publics. And a lot of times we give somebody's favoritism to somebody that can talk longer, somebody's not. There has to have a good merit to be that, not because we know them. And also our meeting moving around, it shouldn't be like that. The regular meeting should be open session, regular meeting to change the schedule for the next regular meeting, not because of one of the council members, the personal issues go to someplace else. The public has to be respected. As public, we know our regular schedule first and third Tuesday, it should be kept. And the other one is, I believe we're going to have a board training this Saturday. I'm glad that they decided to at the City Hall. I invite all the citizens, community members to come to City Hall this coming Saturday to what is about the board supposed to be, what's supposed to be council member decision and goal of the council members. And short time, so I'm gonna say about the air pollutions. When I'm talking with the community members, they are sick of the American Canal. The air pollutions is bad for the people there. A lot of people, they're complaining the smells. A lot of people complaining about their health. Even somebody saying that they're getting cancers. I believe this city has to be too diligent to try to solve the problem with the county and state. I'd like to put that effort to cover the west areas of the American Canal, at least cover it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kim. Mayor Pro Tem Moreno.
Thank you, Mayor Hodge. First of all, I'd like to congratulate some of the students that are here today, that are getting involved in their civic duty and coming to council meetings. Not because it's just an assignment for school, but maybe it just comes out of the goodness of your heart wanting to help the city. So I thank you for being here. I see some former students of mine that are there, and it makes me proud that they're continuing their education. It's always good to know that our youth take advantage of the educational opportunities that we have to offer here in the city and in the county. So that's good to know that you guys are here. This is the best show in town.
Yes. Better than a novella.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Castro.
Well, I'm just want to report and piggyback at the same time with Mr. Orlando from Housing. 2 weeks ago, myself and Celia Bernal and Gloria Grijalva, we went to register around the city of Calexico in some areas where the homeless are using for home, the places around the city of Calexico, and we registered like almost 90 homeless. So for me, it was a great and successful issue for them. So I would like to continue with this event. So I need to work with the Heffernan Memorial Hospital Board and the director from Housing, Mr. Orlando. And basically, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Castro. To piggyback on that, I also strongly agree with you. And I know we passed an ordinance about, what was it called, anti-camping. And it's a good one because we need our parks for our children and our families. But I'm also at the same time, like everybody up here, very concerned about the homeless. We cannot neglect them any further. I did go to that day's event at the neighborhood house, and it was a real eye-opener. There were various services being given to the homeless, haircuts, provided food for them, menudo, and also they had physical checkups, and Heffernan Board provided, I guess it's hygiene kits, and it was a real eye-opener. And we must remember that not all the homeless, we have stereotypes about the homeless, and that's exactly what they are, stereotypes. Many are homeless, I can't say exactly for Calexico, but many of the homeless are women and children that sleep in station wagons or in the inner city under freeway bridges or pathways. So we need to concentrate on providing a space and some shower and food for them. So I do very much like Mr. Johnson's vision, Mr. City Manager, so I really like for us to move forward on that or collaborate. I want to thank Sandra Toller and her crew, her staff, and of course, I'm sure the Parks Subcommittee, Councilwoman Hurtado and Councilman Castro, for responding to my request about doing something about the entrance to Calexico. And when I went today, earlier at the library for the study area for downtown Calexico for the intermodal transportation, a woman that works for Caltrans. I did not know this, my ignorance, but we already had an agreement for landscape maintenance. And so they've already given us the go-ahead. So what that means is we need to be more vigilant and on keeping the entrance clean. There's certain things that I feel that we should have pride in. And when somebody enters into Calexico, it should be something of aesthetic value, of beautification or impact. It should not be ugly. And at this point in time, we have a lot of weeds there. And I want to suggest, could we maybe entertain some different type of landscape, or what would you call it, desert plants or flowers? In other words, for me, and I hope other people agree, color beautifies, if that's possible. So, but I thank you. And I thank City Manager for our upcoming pool meeting. That's extremely important, and we move forward on that. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, yeah, last side, yeah. Okay, and that's on Monday, thank you, our pool. So we're moving forward on the pool. Okay, City Manager.
Just a couple of items. One is we've been trying to get our ladder truck here, and I was hoping we'd have it at the last meeting so we could show you what we've done with our ladder truck, but it's been delayed a little bit, and I'm told now that we're going to be checking it out on Monday. It's in LA, and we'll be doing the final inspections on Monday. We expect that it'll pass the final inspections, so we should have it in our city Monday night, I would hope. See how fast you drive, but hopefully we'll have it in our city on Monday, and that will certainly help to an arsenal of equipment that we have to be able to do firefighting. It's a great addition. Also, we have a Victor Felix, you all know, he's in now over at the Recreation Department, and he's been attending the CPRS Playground Equipment Inspection Certification. That was one of the items that was called out under the PIP agreement with the Joint Powers Authority. And one of the issues that we've had is making sure that we review our equipment in our parks, making sure that they're appropriate and they're usable, and they meet all safety standards. So Victor is at this particular certification. I understand today he was taking his test, and did we get a thumbs up, or do we know? Oh, we're waiting then. So we're sure he passed, and that'll be a great addition to our staff, because now we'll have a person in-house who can certify this playground equipment and make sure that it's appropriate and safe. Two other items. One other item is a major item that we're going to be working on this coming year, and I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder for his State of the City, but it will be a big item this coming year. We will be getting started on addressing wastewater issues. Our plant is very, very old and needs to be looked at, and today we met with Steve Rowe of Lee and Rowe, which I've worked with before in the Brawley plant. The Brawley plant was completed here not too long ago, and they have a brand new plant. Our plant is old, and we need to address that issue. So we will be moving forward with what's called a request for qualifications, in which case we will then pick out a consulting firm to assist us in addressing the scope of work for the plant, and then address the issue of whether it's appropriate to do major rehabilitation on the plant and or build a new plant. It'll be a large endeavor, probably in the neighborhood of somewhere between $20 and $30 million, depending on what we need to do. But it's something that's long overdue, and so we'll be addressing it. The good thing about it is don't think that we're going to have to raise rates. The idea is that we won't have to raise rates. The community at some point in time in the past have raised rates, so we have the ability to bond against those rates in order to obtain the financing for the project, and we hope we'll be able to obtain 100% financing through that particular mechanism. The plant is currently pumping about 2.7 MGDs, which is million-gallon discharge, and our plant is licensed for 4.3. So we do have some capacity to deal with that.
City Manager, your 3 minutes are up, sir.
The last item, if I may, is good news, and that is that we are still on schedule with the H&N opening on March 13th. It's a major building at the Grand Plaza development, and it should help to our ability to bring people into the community. At this point, and we just met with them, we are about 75% complete on phase 1. And we are looking to plan a grand opening, second grand opening on April 10th of this year.
Thank you very much. That's good news.
I'm not sure if if these teenagers actually understood what he just said.
They
didn't see a
understood every
reaction.
single word I said. They're going to be working for me in the future.
The store H&M, I understand it's a very popular store, is
For
opening
young
here in
people.
Calexico. for
I
young
don't even know
people.
what it is.
Well, I qualify still, but the March 13th, okay, guys? So
Show up,
let's all take our money there.
yeah.
And shop, shop, shop.
And once again, 75% of phase 1 is completed, so that
Oh, I
means
thought you were
there's
going
more
to say 75% discount.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I wish, but might be. Okay, very good. Let's move forward. Now we move to the consent agenda, Council, and there are items from 1 to 6. Is there a motion to approve all items?
So moved.
I made pull out number 5.
Okay, Councilman Kim wants to pull some items.
Number
Councilman
5.
Kim, item number 5,
And I'll pull number 6 for a question.
and Councilwoman Hurtado, item number 6
I will go ahead and motion to approve 1, 2, and 3.
and
And
4.
4.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, once again, all right. Please vote.
We're approving number which ones?
We're approving items 1 to 4.
Didn't he just pull one?
No.
No.
Just 5 and 6. All right. Items 1 to 4 on the consent agenda item passes unanimously. All right, now we move to the items that were pulled. First in line, number 5 by Councilman Kim. Sir?
Yes, while I have a briefing with the city manager, and what I found that we are the public sector, we're going to be moving our frequencies to not conflict, not conflicting with the Nextel Sprint. And my questioning was, why public sector, we already using that channel, that frequencies, why we have to move it? Isn't that the public sector, which is Nextel or Sprint, they have to change the frequencies for themselves instead of the public sector governments to moving around the frequencies? They might going to be jeopardizing us to communicate out of the county or over the county, even the inside of the county, which is out of the cities.
You have a question, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
City
and
Manager.
as you can tell with Schedule A and Schedule B, you'll notice that, in fact, they are moving our frequencies. If you notice in there, it says 859.1250, and then the incumbent will be assigned on the following schedule, 854 to 2125. And as I understand it, is in order to avoid the interference, and the question is why we have to move, the public sector has to move, and I'm going to punt to the police department on this one.
I like that metaphor, punt.
In reference to, do we know why we are being moved and not the private sector?
Oh. All right. Dun, 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 dun.
Give me a good answer now.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Bob, what time are you on?
Yeah, anyways, what happened was FCC and Sprint Nextel went into this agreement that they gave the Sprint Nextel the frequencies that were going to interfere with public safety. We have two radios. We have one through our radio communication system through the whole Oro Valley in San Diego. That's RCS. It's not going to affect that one. That's our primary radio that we're using right now. The one that it's affecting is the city of Calexico. We own our own radio frequency, the 800 megahertz. That's our backup frequency. Just in case RCS goes down, this one kicks up.
That's another radio frequency that our traffic controllers also get to use if it goes down. It's not going to affect us in any way, and Sprint Nextel agreed to pay for all the rebranding of all of our equipment, including our base station. So it's something that the Federal Communications Commission decided to do. We had no choice to do it but move. They gave Sprint Nextel the licenses that we had. It's not going to cost us anything, and it's not going to interfere with public safety at all.
Okay, that was my question, thank you. I make the
Okay.
motion to approve it.
I'll
All right.
second.
Okay. Motioned by Councilman Kim, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Please vote on item number 5. All right, that passes unanimously. Next in line, Councilwoman Hurtado, item number 6.
Item number 6 is the consideration of an approval of a resolution to execute an agreement with LA Impact regarding the assignment of an officer, so on and so forth. The question is in the circumstances that this department is in, the budget is very tight. So if the budget is very tight, our staff, our department staff for our police department is very short-staffed. I need to understand the benefit of actually assigning an officer, being that we are very short-staffed, to these types of assignments, because in discussing these types of issues with other individuals that I speak to with regard to our ongoing city business, I understand that it's good practice when a department is this tight and this shortly staffed to try to limit the special assignments, travel, things like that, because of the fact that the staff is so short. So my question is, I need to understand at this given time, being that that appears to be our department's circumstances, what would be the benefit then to work to send an officer to an assignment when maybe those officers, we need them more on patrol? So that's my question is, I don't know who wants to answer.
Would like to answer that?
I'm going to let the PD answer that one.
This is more than a special assignment, it's an essential assignment. As everybody knows, the city of Calexico, along the border with Mexico, we got more drugs than anybody can afford or stop. So in essence, our assignment in LA is just to catch whatever we lose at the border in Calexico or in the valley. In addition to that, the assignment pretty much pays by itself. I would venture to say that we net in approximately $1 million to the asset forfeiture on our drug trafficking work assignments. So more than a special, it's an essential assignment that we cannot do without getting part of the war on drugs, because again, like nobody else, Calexico has more than enough, and if we pulled away from those assignments, we would be held hostage by the drug traffickers.
When we budget at the beginning of the year for this department, are we taking into consideration these type of special assignments when we budget?
They are part of the budget.
They are these special assignments. So when we're having this, I was just trying to look, is this already budgeted for?
The officers are budgeted for. The assignments, obviously, we rely on our department heads to utilize their resources in the best manner that they can in order to provide service to the community. So, again, yes, the answer to your question is yes, the personnel is budgeted.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment. But the point being is, we're going to, this assignment brings in asset forfeiture money. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, pretty much we get a lot more than we put into it. We might be spending about $150,000 on that position, but we generate an average of $1 million a year or easily more.
Well, that's
So
a
it
good,
pays by itself.
that's a good thing.
We could just backfill it instead of
Okay.
using the money for other things that we use in the city.
I know what I wanted to ask. This assignment here, was this already fulfilled before, or is this a totally new
It's
one?
been in there for at least a couple of years.
In other words, for a couple of years, this one hasn't been assigned?
The person in that assignment has been there for at least 2 years.
Oh, okay, so
So
we're
we're just
renewing.
continuing it.
We're renewing a contract then? Is that what we're doing?
This agreement allows us to be able to participate in their program, which, when there's a seizure, our participation is a percentage of the group, and therefore that percentage is provided to us as asset forfeiture. When they seize those assets, then we receive a percentage for participating in the task force itself. I don't know if John has numbers. John, do you have numbers in reference to what we received this year? About 600,000. Is that only for this officer, or do we have other task force? Do you know, a chief, or, I'm sorry? Okay, so about 600,000.
Actually, that wasn't the question, but I don't want to take more time. But the other thing is just that, in the past, we have been wanting to kind of know where everything stands because we haven't seen a report as far as the structuring and things. So we can kind of have an idea where the spending is going for this department. So this happens to be more spending, and so that's the question as far as who was there before? Is this new spending? But apparently it looks like it's a renewal of a contract, actually, what is he saying?
It's pretty much, to answer your question directly, because of the monies involved, it has required that the police department or the city of Calexico becomes an associate of that board. That's why this is annually, so we can get more of your monies. The overtime money that we can be refunded and the percentage of the asset forfeitures.
Okay.
Associate would be entitled to,
Any chance we can maybe have a little game plan as far as a written, I think it's been a couple of times, maybe, just to kind of understand where things are going in the department?
we can do that.
Could you? Thank you.
Yeah, I have some question, Mr.
Okay,
Tavares.
Councilman Kim,
Mr. Tavares.
Chief Tabares.
So what I understanding this one, we already approved like IC program with the Border Patrol? So similar program?
Yes, just a program that we have with other agencies. In addition to that, we also add, we might put in an officer, but we get 2, 3, or 4, 5, 10 to come into Calexico and help out with the drug trafficking investigations.
So then you're talking about several officers from LA to come to help us to control the drug traffic? Other agencies.
From the federal government and state government that are near to Calexico.
So it looks like we killed 3 birds at the same time.
Yes.
So we making money, and then we have more help from the outside of our system.
More presence, we're not isolated.
We're making money.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
Chief,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Chief Tabares, so what you're saying is that we're part of this program, we're participating in it. So if there is a bust in one of the houses in town, this task force goes around, you've got a group of 10, 20 officers that come from various agencies, and we don't have to pay them or anything. They come as part of this forfeiture money. And there is a fund where we get our share of forfeiture money that could be spent on everything but payroll, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it can be on improvements, capital improvements, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. That's good clarification. Okay. So the consent agenda, we have to make a motion, right?
Yeah, you pulled it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
Second. All right. Please vote, even though it was Councilwoman.
What, wait a minute.
Okay. It passes with a 4-1 vote. Dissenting is Councilwoman Hertal. All right, let's move forward then. Business item number 7. And it is short and to the point. Okay. All right. You may go. Let me just say what it's about. It's the approval of first-time home buyers short sale. Please come forward and state your name.
Sorry about that, a little confusing there.
My name is Libby Gibson. I am the broker at ERA, the real estate store in El Centro. And we currently have a property listed over here in Calexico. That's a condominium that has a first and a second loan on it. The second loan is one of the Calexico city loans. Unfortunately, the homeowner is currently having some financial issues or has had some financial issues over the years. And she's trying to sell the property, but it is sort of upside down. And so what we're looking for is, we've gotten an approval from the first mortgage to take less than their payoff amount. And we're requesting that the city will accept a lesser payment on the loan that's owed to them. And I do have some
Sure.
information.
If you'd like to hand them out.
Like it. And I apologize, I only brought 6. I didn't realize how many I needed. But
Any further comments or statements?
well, I mean, we've all been in this community for the past few years, seen the real estate market take a turn for the worse. And I mean, we're in a position where we're seeing so many properties foreclose, and we hate to do that, especially in this community, because it is a condominium association. So any foreclosures there not only affect...
A ripple effect.
Yeah, the homeowners there, they affect the homeowners association. I mean, it's just sort of a downward spiral.
And this is a hardship for a family, so
It
we're
is.
trying to do good for this particular family. Any questions, council?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I thought it was in my literature, but maybe I missed it. What is the actual mortgage on this that is owing?
What is owed currently is, I believe it's 106.
106?
106,000 and some change.
Are you going to go one by one for the questions?
That's on the first mortgage. I'm not sure what's owed on the second, because in our world, it's a silent second.
So we are city, question. We have a city owns, city has a second.
Yes, the city has a second, and I understand those to be sort of a silent second. If they keep the property for a certain amount of time, then
No, it's an actual $100,000 a
Oh,
second.
okay.
Deferred.
So in this particular case, the only reason I wanted it for the record is, we have had conversations in reference to trying to up the percentage of our recovery. And so at this point, they've advised us that there is no money to provide an upping of ours. So I just wanted to ask what the mortgage was, 106 plus then the closing fees and so on.
Right.
And so our loan is for 100,000. The only other option you have is if you don't approve it, then they'll go into foreclosure, and then they'll go out through the foreclosure procedures and they'll sell it out, and probably will be wiped out, so we won't even get 1,000 because the second will be wiped out and the first one will get whatever it sells for.
Okay. Anyone else, council members?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Hurtado.
I'm a tax preparer during the day, councilwoman at night.
I'm Capricorn.
And, well, of course, during the crisis, as the clients would come in with a 1099-C, which represented the fact that the lender was basically reporting a cancellation of debt. In that event, in the event that a city, because I know that this is a different situation, we're not necessarily a standard everyday lender, would the city of Calexico be issuing a 1099-C cancellation of debt transaction to the borrower? Because this is the second, right?
We'll have to check that out, but I believe we do. I believe there is a cancellation of debt, and therefore we have to issue that.
Which means it's a transaction, an accountable transaction where the city then would be transferring and wiping out the debt formally and basically transferring that debt over to the taxpayer, right? Is that what we're going to be doing?
That is correct. That's the way I understand it.
Okay. Just wanted to know if that's our end of it.
Yes. Okay. This is my understanding.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions on behalf of the council? No?
Okay, there's no, for probably she's real estate, so is that we are second, so first they have a right to have a foreclosure house?
Yes, they do. And I have a copy of the borrower's mortgage statement. I believe I gave it to you in the packet that I gave you. And on item number 2, in the package that I gave you, that is their last month's mortgage statement. So they're already 5 months behind on their mortgage statement, as well as, I believe, 4 or 5 months behind on their homeowners association dues. So it's highly unlikely that this homeowner is going to be able to catch up and catch up on their payments, catch up on their homeowners association dues, and make this loan good again.
But in case of the homeowners, they're having trouble to pay their mortgage.
Yes.
Is there any chance make the second and the first they can changeable? Like now, so city have city second, but we give them $100,000, and the first $106,000. So almost like a same value we own, we're gonna lose $100,000.
Correct.
So in this case, the city can be proactive to steps in before this kind of action to be able to change the second to the first.
Well, unfortunately, your only option in order to do that would be if the first were to foreclose and the property goes up on the courthouse steps for foreclosure sale, the city can pick up that first loan. But it doesn't make any financial sense to do that in this case because the property's not worth even what the first mortgage is, much less your $100,000 and whatever you would pay for the first. So, and there is no way to get the first to subordinate to the second.
So how much is the property value right now?
Pardon?
How much is the value of the property?
It's somewhere around $110,000. And we have an offer for that much. In fact, it's a cash offer, so we don't even have to worry about appraisal, which is an issue as well. Because if we get an offer where we have to get financing, then we have to deal with whether or not the property's going to appraise for the value that we're being offered.
So there is no way to, from the city, for example, to pay off and we resell to the whole owners.
No, there's not enough equity. There's no equity there in order to make it feasible to do that.
No, what I'm saying is the city itself, we're going to lose $100,000 anyways. So what I'm trying to say, we take over to that house, probably we might have to pay another $100,000 or whatever left over, and then we resell to the homeowner. So homeowner only need to make the payments of the half of it, which is like homeowners right now are making payments for the city and the real estate.
Well, if you look at page 2 of the, I'm sorry, I think it's number 1 on your package that I gave you. That's the approval letter from the first mortgage. They have agreed to accept less than the principal owed on the property. They've agreed to accept $101,000 for their portion that their proceeds that they'll receive. So they're taking a hit already. Now, in order for you to take over the property, you would have to pay this $101,000. So
yes, I understand.
you would only have maybe $8,000 or $9,000 in equity, and that's not including your closing costs when you sell it, your carrying costs, and that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, but what I'm trying to say, if the people who owns the house that be able to make the payment for the $100,000 loan, what city will only lost $100,000, but we can pay $101,000 to pick up the house. That person, we finance it with the bank, the $101,000 for first loan for the other bank. So actually, the homeowner is going to make the payments, $100,000 worth payments to the another bank. Cities just help them to get the house owners to the ownerships.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I don't believe that the city of Calexico is in the business of buying personal residences. I don't believe that's our function. However, one question that I would have to our staff is to know, because the foreclosures are so common, I would assume there's other cities out there, and maybe you've come across any information, what other cities are doing in these circumstances when the programs that we have here result in having individuals at short sales or at foreclosures. Do we know any past practices?
What we do is we take a look at what the value of the property is and see if in fact it's worth going after the property. I, in my whole career, have only gone to the courthouse steps once to try and pick up a piece of property. only because I felt that they were undervaluing the property, and I felt that the city could pick up the first, even though we were sitting in the second position. In this particular case, you don't have that, as has been stated. You're upside down on this one, and it's just like we got two choices. You either allow the short sale or you go into the foreclosure. I agree with you 100% on the statement that was made earlier. We're not in the real estate business, and we shouldn't be in the real estate business. So you got two choices. You either let it go into foreclosure, or you take the 100,000 or the 100,000 and move on, and allow this person's credit to move on.
So we're going to help this family.
That is correct. Otherwise, they'll go through foreclosure, and their credit will get hurt.
Is their mortgage going to be less under what we're doing?
Well, we need to take a look and see what the values of the properties are.
I'm sorry?
We have to take a look case by case on the value of the property. There could be in the future, if the real estate market goes back up, then there may be a possibility we want to get involved in it. But at this point, the real estate market is just not there.
Yeah, I understand that. So it's a no-win situation the way. And for me, I'm looking at the human situation. I don't want to be partly responsible for putting a family out in the street. So
They're selling the property, Mr. Hodge.
oh, they're selling it.
Yes, they're selling the property because they can't afford it any
Okay.
longer.
Okay.
That is the purpose.
Rather than getting foreclosed on and getting.
Okay, I understand now. Okay, thank you. All right then. Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second?
Second, sir.
All right. Please vote.
With the understanding that there will be a cancellation of debt transaction towards this.
Yeah, we'll make sure that, I believe that's what will happen, because, you just don't waive the fee.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
really important.
Just before we go any further with that, I just want to make sure that you understand that there is a debt forgiveness
Right.
for the
Oh, of course.
homeowner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most likely they'll qualify.
Yes.
But then on our end of it, we do need to do that right thing too.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. To have voted,
We speak the same language.
please vote.
That's our first one.
Motion carries.
Motion carries, yes. If I'm correct here, we're moving on to item number 8. Requested action. Request council consideration on direction to staff on whether to allow this item to be referred to Measure H for consideration. This was requested by Councilman Hurtado on January 21st, 2014, and it's requesting a consideration on hiring 3 staff members for the Parks Department. The two options on the funding staff for the Parks Department are either through the general fund or Measure H, but due to the lack of funds in the general fund, the only viable funding source is Measure H. The cost of funding these 3 additional temporary part-time staff members for the Parks Department is $50,961 annually per employee, and the total for all 3 would be $152,884 annually for all 3. Discussion.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
As we spoke when I asked for this item and that this council consider approving this, is that for several years we have been looking at our budget, and again, it's a very tight budget, and our parks have been in the back burner. And this council has been very active in wanting to have some solutions and are finding ways to have funding, but no matter what, it is a very tight budget. However, it appears and it looks like with the different comments that have occurred here on this council throughout the years and recently throughout the months, is that the parks and their conditions are a priority. And just now we spoke about that, about what was going on out there on Highway 111. And so when you see that, somebody's got to do that. And when we talk about doing things, about bringing in new employees, that's going to cost money. So at this time, because of the fact that we have such a tight budget, there needs to be a decision amongst this council that if in fact the parks and not recreation, but the parks and the green areas of Calexico are a priority, we need to increase the amount of staff that we have. We have 1 person working our parks. When in the past, in the history of the city was divided into sections, and there was 1 person assisting and working each different section of Calexico. So we are definitely down to the bare bones in that department, and we need to balance out several different needs, and I know that this council is very interested in ensuring that our public safety is funded, which we have done in the past continuously and heavily. And I sincerely believe that this city is now ready for there to be some spending in the quality of our services as far as what we're doing with our green areas. And I know that by listening to what you all have stated and stated fiercely in the past, that it seemed to be a priority, and I hope so. We do deserve that. So to me, it appears that there isn't very many other solutions other than hiring more staff. And so in order to hire staff, we need to recognize it's going to cost money. And then by looking at it, $152,000, it doesn't really seem very much when, considering some of the spending that's been going on. I would like to be able to see now, once and for all, that we put our money where our mouth is. And let's make some decisions to beautify Calexico, but recognizing that it's not going to happen alone. By itself, we need to make it happen. So I thank you for your support and your consideration, and I welcome any comments.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Hurtado. Any further comments?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor, because we look at Measure H as one of the funds that has really helped a lot with certain areas of the community.
Golden news. The goose.
The goose that lays the golden eggs, okay, you
Right.
said it.
Yeah.
I would rather see this item go to the Measure H committee for their oversight, but I also know at the same time that baseball season is around the corner. And it's within the next couple of weeks, I believe, we start our Little League. And as you know, baseball is America's pastime.
Absolutely.
And my son, I'm speaking from a personal point, what?
No?
It's our pastime.
You mentioned
Okay.
Sonny, I get all sentimental.
We went to the park and we just looked at these deplorable conditions, which can be dangerous. There could be holes out in the outfield, that there could be a broken sprinkler, and we just neglected these parks during that season. And, the kids saw when they played in Brawley, for that matter, and the really nice fields that they had in Brawley. And then they come back here, and we couldn't host a championship game in Calexico because of the conditions of the park, which was embarrassing to the community, and not only to the Little League, but to the whole District 22 Little League. I would venture to say that if we get one, and we approve one tonight, to focus on our baseball parks, perhaps maybe the soccer field, Gutierrez Field, or maybe
The highly used ones?
the ones that are going to be in season. Not to leave out the softball, because I know that's in season too. But I don't know, do we need two? I mean, because I want our fields, and I'm sure the council believes this too, and I'm sure the community believes this, and I know Mr. Hodge was really speaking on this last year about the parks, every word he said was parks. And we need to focus on that. And so maybe if we can't get the three, maybe if we
Two.
bypass Measure H, which I don't like to do with the committee, and get some people out there to start gearing up for opening day, Little League baseball season in the next couple of weeks. City manager, what can we do?
Well, given the timetable that we are talking about, we'd have to go through another option, and that is probably get some people through one of the contracting agencies, because you need to go back to your oversight board. That's a procedure that you have set up.
We need to do that.
But in order to address your issue, we would have to go through contracting agencies until we go through Measure H. Because that's a process that you have set up through the actual electorate when they approve the measure.
So, like Mayor Pro Tem is saying, we can today decide?
No. You would, what we're trying to get direction from you today is there's two options, one of which staff is saying is really not an option, and that is funding it through the general fund.
Right.
So what we are suggesting is that whatever the council wants us to relay to Measure H, whether it be one, two, or three individuals, that the best solution, if the best option is to go through Measure H. But to address the issue that was just brought up, we would have to go through a contracting agency to get that, get staffing to help us out now, because the process will take us to Measure H, and then they make a recommendation to council, and then we have to bring it back. That's a process that's been set up by the electorate. So you have to follow that process.
Would you be able to make an executive decision?
Through, as far as hiring through contracting agencies, I have that ability.
That's what okay.
Then I think
But
that
that's a different item that was on your agenda tonight.
well, because I think it's urgent at this point.
Go ahead, Councilman Hurtado.
I just wanted to make sure that we added also to the conversation about what we're talking about today, because it's not just a mere fact that we want to hire 3 more additional, or the request is for 3 more. There is other outside issues to what is in the works to be able to beautify our parks. It is a combination of what our Public Works Director is doing also with the company that services us, the contractor, with the different leagues that are out there and are using the parks. This is a community effort to get this done. It is not just about this council asking for more individuals to go in there and give this issue a good push. It is actually a big picture of many different players in wanting to get this better as quickly as possible. So what you're seeing tonight is only a small portion of a bigger plan to give it a good push, focus 100%, and get it done. And then after that, there's a manner in which to maintain, because there will be maintenance after that, because you're trying to pick up the pieces from an issue that's been neglected for years and years and years. And so what we're all thinking in the different meetings that we've had is that it needs a push. And so that was the reason behind asking for these 3 individuals. But not that these 3 individuals is the only solution. It is a community effort together with the city.
Okay, Mr.
All right, Councilman Kim.
Okay, first of all, I don't know we're going to have money from the Major H or not, because council approved half of the money spending for the bond. We're going to have we're going to have about $1 million left over, and we set the budget for the police and fire $1 million. So I believe almost none of the money left over from the Major H. That's my big questions. And
I'm sorry.
we don't have money left over, because we're going to spend $1 million for fire and police, and we're going to spend around $1 million for the bond. Actually, we don't have much money left over. And also we have summertime, we're using the $100,000 to $200,000 for the summer activities. So we don't have money to spend from the AGH anymore. So that's my big concern. And the other one is, I agree with Mr. Moreno. We should go to follow the step to send the Major H before we making any concession on tonight. Today is supposed to have a freely owned decision by the recommendation from the Major H. Then we may be overlapping their decision or not, or approve it. So we have to do our decision after the Major H decision. And also, what I believe that we need to take care of our park. And I still questioning the company contracted to cut or taking care of clean the park. I don't know what they're doing their job or not. Or do we are forcing them to their job? We maybe shouldn't be like this kind of condition. And city staff has to be steps on it, overseeing the contractors how do their job on the parks. And if they any need it, I believe that the executive decision, even we can send a staff for the temporarily to fix the problem. We don't have to do any emergency decision to do so. I believe staff, we can send them to taking care of it. And then we deal with our staff, or maybe over time involved it. So we're taking care of that at park right now, but at the same time we have to send as soon as possible to Major H to make them their recommendations.
Okay. All right, thank you, Councilman Kim. City Manager, response.
I'm probably going to muddy the waters here a little more, but since you're having this discussion,
thank you, students.
It's probably good to bring it up at this time. There are 2 other options and that is you may not, I mean, there are options whether you like them or not, you can discuss them, but we do have a contractor. So one other option would be to change the scope of work with the contractor and obviously use the money for the contractor to do more services. That's another option. And then the final option that I'd like to throw at you is the issue of contract employees. Rather than putting employees onto our payroll, we just go to Measure H and ask for a certain amount so that we can get contract employees to do that. And as I've said before, the reason that we got rid of the part-timers was because we were having to pay benefit schedules on that, and we were having to keep them then. The advantage of a contract employee is you bring them in to do a certain job, and then you can let them go, and there's no liability whatsoever. So those are two other options that I'm going to throw on your table.
Mr. Rodriguez, how soon can we get someone to work on our baseball, softball fields?
2.
How soon can we get them to work on them?
We can contract with
Without a council
company.
making a decision and waiting for
We can do that tomorrow.
Then let's do
Well,
it.
tomorrow, I'm sorry. We
Yeah.
can do it Monday.
Okay.
Monday.
I don't think Sancho's coming in tomorrow.
Yeah, we can do it Monday.
All right.
But I think you need to take a look at that, because what Councilmember Kim said is another reality, and that is that we have dedicated $1 million out of your Measure H funding, and we projected $2.1 million for this year. So that leaves us $1.1 million. We are, and I can state it right here, we are going to have to go to Measure H this coming year to ask for an additional assistance for public safety. The revenue line for us, and we'll be giving you more information as we present the 6-month review next meeting and go into our budget process. But you're going to find that our revenue line is basically flat, which means that our revenues have not gone up. And you know, as flat may sound negative, but actually there's cities where the revenue line is going down and the expenditure line continues to climb. So we've got to be very cognizant of that. So if you take the $1 million off for public safety and you take the $1 million off for your bonding, that leaves you $100,000. Now on top of that, you still have the $200,000 that we're still paying for the fire trucks. They're coming out of Measure H. So now that puts you in a deficit of $100,000. Then on top of that, if you will recall, last year we went to Measure H for $100,000 for maintenance of parks. And we also went to Measure H for $100,000 for summer recreational programs. So you add that on, and now technically you're $300,000 in the red. And the bright spot of that is that we are going to probably be projecting for the following year, Grand Plaza, impacting this to the tune of $300,000 to $400,000. But still, that means you're basically in a break-even mode for the year. There is some beginning balance that still comes in, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that Measure H is not the panacea for this community.
I just wanted to mention,
Whoa.
I wanted to remind you that the people are not going to get the work done by themselves. They're going to need materials, they're going to need supplies. So it's not just going to happen if 5 people get hired tomorrow. We still need to buy the supplies and repairs of equipment that is broken, and we're going to have to buy the equipment. I just want to remind you of that. That we can't just hire 5 people tomorrow and it's going to get fixed.
City Manager, are you saying that we really can't afford right now at this point in time?
Yeah, it's just all a matter of, and as we go through the budget process, we're going to have some difficult decisions to make because it's all a matter of priorities. And you are the policymakers, you set priorities, and we follow them. So is this, if you were to approve this tonight, would it break the bank on Measure H? No, but you're going to basically be very, very close, and you're probably not going to be able to prove much more, even if you have a beginning balance, because over time you're going to use up the beginning balance. So, you know, I just want to make sure everybody understands that, yeah, you could approve it. That's not going to break the bank, but we're going to be close to breaking even. And at future expenditures, you may not be able to do.
Mr. Rodriguez, I believe our council members' duty is deliver service to the community what they need.
Good point.
That's our first responsible. For me, it's our job to find the money to serve the community. We have to squeeze it some out of the portion, whatever. I believe we have to spend money in one or the other, city has to be taking care of parks as soon as possible. And meanwhile, same time that we can send the major H to approval, but we have to do by tomorrow or Monday. We have to do right away to fix our parks and condition. That is our citizens, the one of the entertainments and sports, and our kids, they're using it. We cannot turn around from there.
Mr. Rodriguez, could you look at our outsourcing with, what is it, Advanced, and have them focus on the parks instead of on the baseball parks for
Well,
the next
like I
2
said,
weeks?
Well, I think for the next, yes, the answer is yes.
I mean, I'm looking for a.
Yes, I understand that.
This is an emergency.
I understand that, and we could do that. We could look at the scope and see if we could provide, if it provides for allowing for extra services for that immediate need that you have, or that
While
we
this
have.
goes to Measure H.
While this goes to Measure H. But the other thing is that, again, when we go to Measure H, I would strongly ask you to consider that the monies be provided for contract employees. Because again, if you put them on our payroll, we're gonna have to
More
pay
money.
benefits on it, and then we're gonna get stuck in the future if you have to lay off people.
Okay.
That's
Mr.
an important
Rodriguez?
consideration.
Mr. Rodriguez, I think it's really important to clarify something about our contracted service. Our contracted service is, the scope is limited. They do not come out, and Sandra, you can correct me if I'm wrong on anything, or Mr. Servine. They do not fix broken sprinklers. They do not come out and automate the fields, because when the discussions that we've had with the park committees and stuff, the staff is looking towards automating the needs of sprinkler systems so that you don't need to have a physical body go out there. So that type of work, to be able to save money, you got to spend a little money, but that's not on the contract. They are only there, I believe, to cut the grass, pick up the leaves or what have you, and the debris, and that's about it. So the care that you may want to have, like for example, the shrubbery that's around the one that is on Sapphire, the surrounding shrubbery and bushes that are around there, those aren't being touched.
Right.
And so there's a gap in between what they are actually providing and what needs to be done. So that gap is either that gap's going to be served by the city and 100% focus on that gap, or we're going to put it under now to modify the contract with the outside sourcing agency. Because that gap is what's hurting the image or the look of things, because they're not tending to the extra stuff that the greenery requires. So we've looked at that, and if that is what we want to do and increase our contract, we need to understand that their scope of work has been limited all this time, and that's been an issue, because then it falls through the cracks. So it's an interesting thing. Yes, I mean, at this point, I would support anything that would help. And any manner in which it needs to be done, if it needs to go back to the Measure H, that's fine, of course, anything that the manner that it needs to be handled. But it's really important to recognize that the scope of work that our contractor has out there is extremely limited.
Mr. Rodriguez, at this point, you don't think we cancel the contract, the company who cut and taking care of parks, and to hire the people ourselves, doing ourselves? We can deliver the better service for the community? Because I don't think we're going to have a right service from the company who taking care of the parks. That's what's happening right now. Probably, maybe the company might going to say that is not the contract, but our best of interest, deliver the service to the community. If the contract is wrong, we have to do differently. And also, in certain way, if we have our own staff, we can send the staff anytime we want. And we can control the hours, the quality of the service to the community. And our job is to deliver the service to the community. Regardless of what it takes, we have to take the actions.
Okay. All right,
Mr.
Councilman
Mayor?
Kim, we've heard you and respect what you're saying.
If there's no further comments?
Well, I don't want to leave Councilman Castro out, because I know you're very concerned, and you're on the subcommittee. And will you please speak?
Well, I believe everybody mentioned, everybody cover all the areas, but I really support what Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado mentioned, the request to ask for some help from Measure H. But also, what Mr. Moreno's mentioned a few minutes ago, it's embarrassing how the park are. And I believe that one of the best options, what Mr. City Manager Rodriguez mentioned, he can change the scope of work with the advanced service. That helps. And also at the same time, what someone mentioned, is not only to take care of the parks. We are talking about some expenditures with the parks, not only the grass and the dirt, and most likely the problem with the parks. Basically, I'm just supporting what Mr. City Manager said, to change the scope of work. That's it. And I'm really concerned about the parks. We need to seriously support any ideas, any grant, any kind of either some kind of help from the community also. And I know there is so many people are willing to work with the city.
Yes.
But what I see lately, there is so many obstacles. There's so many obstacles from the directors. Like in the case, I've been on a board meeting on about a month ago related to how to clean the 111 and Cole Road areas at the entrance from the city of Calexico. And I asked Mr. Servin related to that issue, because there is some community members are willing to work with the city. But the thing is, there's an obstacle because the directors say, you know what, I'm not in charge of that. It's Mrs. Sandra Tyler. She's the one to support or work with the recreation departments. I asked Sandra Tyler, the director, she said, no, Mr. Servin. So for me, that's kind of disagree, because people from the city are willing to help. And we, the directors, the administration, or probably, or in my case, not the council, but we need to support our community. We need to support our people who are willing to work without pay.
Okay.
That's my concern.
All right, thank you, Councilman Castro. Everybody has spoken, except for me. May I speak?
2 minutes.
Why? All right, I want to try to simplify this. Now, for me, there are two priorities, and I know we'll all be at the retreat because we're gonna have it here, and so all of us will be there. And for me, the two priorities are parks and public safety. And I'm just going to say it right now. And I know there's disagreement, but I strongly believe that the police is still understaffed, and I don't want to lose sight of that. And I had made a request, and it's going to go on the agenda, that we expedite, and I'll say it in the promises that we made through Measure H and the positions that we're already budgeting. So I don't want that to be undermined. But at the same time, the parks are extremely important. And I am very concerned about what Mayor Pro Tem said about the dangerousness of the fields for the baseball players. So either can we immediately expand the scope of the company contract, or can you go through a temp and hire more? And can they do in correcting the fields that Mayor Pro Tem Moreno is concerned about? Can they do that scope of work?
Two answers. One, yes, we can go ahead and hire some people. And if the timeline is 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then yes, we'd have to start on Monday. So yes, we could do that. Number two is, my recommendation to you would be that whatever the amount of money is, and I was just running some numbers here, if you had $120,000 and we're paying $12 per employee on a contractual basis, you'd be talking about 10,000 hours, and you divide that by 2080, which is a full-time position, and you're basically hiring 5 full-time positions, so that if they're under 1,000 hours, you're basically you could get 10 positions. So that's why I'm trying to explain that you're better off going through contract employees.
Well, I agree with you, City Manager.
So I would recommend that whatever that number is, if it's 150, 100, or 200, that you direct us to go to Measure H requesting that type of money to be utilized for employees for the
Yes.
Parks Department, whether it's through contractual services or expanding the scope of work of the contract. And you give us those two ability to do either one.
Is this a vote or a direction? Or
Direction.
It's a direction. I would like to make a direction that we do exactly what you said, that we go to Measure H, okay? And we seriously consider about contracting out and let Measure H work out their numbers so that they can determine and give us their feedback on whether 3 is possible or more or 2. But right now, I want to take care of that emergency about the baseball fields. So both.
And that's not on the agenda, but no problem.
Okay.
We heard you.
Legion Field and Rivera Field.
Okay, so you're motioning?
Yeah, I'm motioning to give direction that you go to Measure H on this item.
And seek their recommendation.
Seek their recommendation. Let them figure it out, because I am
No,
concerned.
He'll give them recommendations.
You'll give a recommation.
Yeah,
but
that
don't-
you allow me to give them a recommendation.
Yeah, but they have to
either through
analyze, too.
contractual employees and/or the money for adjusting the scope of work,
Yes.
because I still need to talk to them and see if that's an option.
Right.
And we need to set an amount. What are we asking for from Measure H?
Okay, that's exactly. You said it well.
Are we talking, I was using 120,000.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's my direction. Is that everybody in agreement?
Yeah, I just want to come to the defense of the recreation staff and our staff in general. There's actually a lot of hard work going on right now.
Oh, I
in
was gonna
wanting-
mention that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so, it's not perfect yet. I know that volunteers are welcome, and that there is some shifting around going on right now with the intent that our programs are better. And I know that the meeting that we had the last time was a very successful meeting, and that's what it was all about, right, Sandra? It was about making things better. And so I'm coming out to the defense of the staff because I know they're working pretty hard at that. And again, what has been said in this council many times is that in order to be able to get things done, you need money. And at this point, the Recreation Department has been doing miracles with no money whatsoever.
Absolutely.
So
Kudos.
I think that when you
Bless
have
you.
departments that have been neglected financially, and other departments are, not holding back on spending, we need to balance out here. And so thank you very much for that support. And I look forward to continuing our work with the Recreation Department and our Public Works Director and the Measure H staff in ensuring that our parks and greeneries in the city are improved.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor, make a suggestion.
Go ahead.
That this council always practice praising our employees in public and criticizing them in private.
Correct.
So I would hope that Mr. Castro next time would talk to our department heads prior to coming out here and criticizing them in a fashion that is not conducive for building morale. So I urge and I implore the council to practice that instead of coming out here and being abrasive to our city staff.
All right.
Thank you.
Now people are going to get defensive, and we're going to get and I don't want that, so.
May I say
Here we
something,
go.
Mayor?
Okay, real quick, Castro, but let's be civil.
Yes, you know what? This is a public meeting, and the people deserve to hear the truth. I'm not here to criticize no one. I'm a council. I represent the city of Calexico, and I don't care. I do not care.
Don't yell, Councilman Castro.
What John Moreno said. I'm a city council. I'm represent the citizen.
Please don't
and
yell.
That's the reason I can explain my people what's going on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, once again, we're trying to be civil. You have the right to make that point, but council people or members, there's no need to yell. The microphone is right here. It's abrasive. And then they really can't hear you. Okay, here we go. So that's the direction for number 8. Let's move on to number 9. Okay? And we're all going to be at the retreat. We're all going to be at the retreat.
Number 9 was taken out.
Number 9 was taken out, is that it?
Number 10.
Somebody was going to pay up.
Do we have a 10? Oh, that's,
The impact fees.
yeah. He just stepped out. We have what, 2 more items? Is that correct? Can we just take a 3 or 4 minute break? Council and city manager will come back. I know it's a little weird, but let's just take a break, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's come to order. We're on item number 10.
Right, and I believe this is it was an item that was requested by Councilmember Kim, what can be done on reduction of impact fees, and what the city manager put together was 2 options for the council. One of those was to solicit our RFPs to get a consultant to review the city's current impact fees. And as he stated in the staff report, it'll take approximately 6 to 8 months, and it could be anywhere from $35,000 to $40,000. A second option is to follow the lead of some other jurisdictions that have done a temporary reduction in their impact fees based on a smaller study that can be done by city staff to determine if the cost of construction have gone down, and then do a temporary reduction in relation to that. So at this point, the city manager is just looking for direction on which of these 2 options you would like staff to pursue at this point in time. And then it would be coming back as an action item.
Okay, now as mayor, please don't get upset, but I'm very concerned about what's just happened. I don't want to get bogged down in a lot of time, because if that's the case, I'm going to make an adjournment, but let's move forward. I personally support option number 2. City member, council members?
I do too, Mr. Hodge.
Okay.
No. Can you, I just came from outside.
It's item number 10, Councilman Castro,
What happened?
about impact fees, to lower them on a temporary basis. Don't run, Oscar. We're on item number 10, lowering, which is a good thing. I support Councilman Kim's proposal, but we have 2 options here.
Yeah, I'd like to recommend to item 2,
Okay,
to make the motion
Very
to
good.
approve item 2 for the residential and the apartments,
all right,
and soon as possible.
excellent.
And with the limited time. And number 1, we still look into for the future study we can set our factual, was called the impact fee.
But right now, option number 2.
Option 2 started.
All right, you make that motion, I will second it.
I'll make the motion to
Some
approve.
discussion.
It's just direction at this
discussion.
point.
Oh, direction.
Direction, yes.
Okay, sorry.
We just need to hear that 3 council members want to pursue.
Yeah, we'll go
Okay.
to
Option 2.
Some questions though
Okay,
first.
yeah, we have 3 that want option 2, but Councilwoman Hurtado has some questions.
Okay. The question would be that the comparison here, the number 2 option indicates that there was an analysis done by the County of Riverside
That's correct. We'll have
for
to go
about
through
2
that
months
process.
until the group then recommended a fee reduction. Has the city of Calexico analyzed?
No, we're just getting direction from you so we can go do that analysis.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, this is no guarantees. We have to
and-
do the analysis first to be able to justify our reduction.
Okay.
Okay, so another clarification real quickly, please. What does impact fees, when a developer comes to a city such as Calexico and is charged impact fees, what does the impact fees cover? Or what does it pay for?
That is for the impact that's going to be caused on our facilities.
Okay.
So that in the future, we have the money to be able to replace those facilities as these units are going up.
Okay.
And the city has a number of different ones. There's a library one, a fire one, a police one. So they're enumerated in the municipal code. There's probably 5 to 7 of them.
Okay,
And I'm not-
I have to add.
Councilwoman is
I'm sorry, Mr. Kim, I wasn't done
continue,
just
and
yet.
then Councilman.
So then in this case, then what you're asking for is that the council member, Mr. Kim, has requested that we analyze. That is actually what it is, right? Because here it says requested consideration on the reduction, but actually it's consideration on analyzing information to consider a reduction, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But the first
So
step.
it read incorrectly, that's all.
Yeah, first step we're gonna do immediately to limit the time to reduce impact fees. And I like to adding this application fee too, application impact fees. That's two major point affecting our developing right now.
Okay, I think we have a difference here. You say immediately reduce the fees?
Yeah, but they have to come back again to make the final decision.
Okay, okay. So
So
we're on the
adding
same
the
page.
application fee to not only impact fees.
Okay, well, we will bring this whole item back to you because we have to show you our analysis because we have to be able to do the nexus between the
Okay.
reduction and the analysis.
Okay.
And just to clarify, Mr. Rodriguez, the council will not be involved on who this working group is. You will be choosing the working group?
That is correct.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we have an informational item, so we've given the direction. We have at least three, or it seems like it's unanimous at this point. So direction given. Moving on to item number 11, I think this is your show here. Very important information, City Manager. Do you want to expound on this?
Well, what I wanted to do is start
State
putting
pension
some.
board hikes.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, the title of the article is State Pension Board Hikes Contributions.
Right, and what I wanted to start doing is start providing information that is not only appropriate for council, but it's also appropriate for our own staffs as well as the public. And these are some of the issues that we are going to be confronting in the very near future. In this particular case, it's an article in reference to our PRS, Public Employees Retirement System. And for the longest time, there has been discussion about the unfunded liabilities that are going on. In other words, if you were to pay all the retirees today, what would that liability be? Let's just call a number out and say it's $10 million, but yet the system only has $6 million. So as long as there's people coming in, people going out, you're gonna be okay, but the day if it was to stop today and no more people go in and you have to pay out those people that are there, it would be broke. And so now we're beginning to comprehend that and beginning to look at that. And the first thing so now the Public Employees Retirement System is the first one to come out of the gate and saying, yes, it's about time we start looking at this thing. And so where we would normally have a particular increase in our fees for the retirement system, they have now said that in the year 2016, there's going to be an additional increase to cover that underfunding. So we're going to be hit with quite a bit of an increase in 2016.
Doesn't it have to go through legislature?
No, this is a PRS board, and there's representatives, and the governor has his representatives on there. In fact, the governor is on there, and so they're telling us now that in 2016, we're going to do a catch-up. And this catch-up is going to be over the following 5 years. That's bad enough, but then they say the catch-up on the first year is going to be greater than the other 4 years. So if you looked at this and you said, it's 20% every year because it's 5 years, on whatever that catch-up is, now they're saying, no, the first year is going to be 30%, and then the following years is going to be less. So I think the whole idea, without getting into a lot of detail, is we're going to be impacted by this in 2016, and we're going to have to start looking at these things and projecting out where we're going to be. I'm sure that in 2008, when the recession hit, everybody said, okay, 2-3 years, 4 years max, we're out of this recession. Well, here we are, 2014, and we're still trying to get out of it. They tell us that supposedly we're out of it, but we haven't seen it in our revenues, okay? So I bring it up again so that we can all be cognizant of what we're looking at in the future. As you know, and I have stated in the past, in 2012-13, our workman's comp and our general liability premiums were $1.5 million. And this last year, 13-14, now our premium jumped up to $2.1 million. That's an increase of $600,000. it's hard to produce that kind of money, from one year to the next. So again, it's not, and I don't want it to be taken in any way as a scare tactic or anything. Sorry, it's
I'm
just
scared.
reality, and I want to make sure we're all dealing with the same facts so that we can start addressing these issues. As we start going through the budget process, one of the things we're going to be talking about is what are the priorities? We've talked about a little bit tonight, with public safety and parks, and we're going to have to get some direction from council as to what are these priorities? What are your priorities so we can develop a budget that's around those priorities so that if we get to the point that we don't have the monies to be able to fund everything, we look at your priorities, and if at the bottom of the list is X, then we may be talking about eliminating X service until the economy catches up with us. So again, I just want to make sure that we're dealing with the facts, because I often hear so many people talk about this is happening, that's happening, and it's not factual. So I want to bring these things to you that are factual so you know what you're dealing with. The public knows what we're dealing with. These are not easy decisions that you have to make, and the public should know under what grounds you're making these decisions. So this is just one in a series of articles. I'm going to be bringing some more articles as we go along so that everybody is familiar with, again, the constraints that we're going to be dealing with as we approach not only this budget but future budgets.
All right. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, and that contribution is very important. If I could make a request for some of the public that actually cares, could we have a few copies out in the lobby? They can pick it up and read it?
Sure, I'll have Gabby
Okay.
put some in the lobby.
Now, City Manager, we have some news that we need to take care of, and I don't want to detain you any longer. So, council members, as mayor, I'm going to exercise my authority to adjourn and no future agenda items. But remember, you can come into the city here and make requests for future agenda items. But at this point, there are no more items.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We've had an incident with our city clerk, and I need to go find out what's going on.
Concentrate on something else. So this meeting is adjourned.